Politics and job, office of profit. Office of profit is a term applicable only to government positions. If you take money from government as an employment, a compensation for something you do, then office of profit, therefore you cannot be an elected legislator unless it's a minister's job, or those that are specifically exempted under the law, etc., etc. Otherwise, for what you do in private sector, you're a lawyer, you're a private sector worker, you're a professional. That's what you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be a parasite on society. B.C. Roy was a practicing physician as a chief minister of Bengal. Nothing stopped him. So there's no office of profit issue there. It's a technical issue only for those who are deriving their sustenance from the public purse. So that's not an issue. Part-time, full-time, I already mentioned to you. Civic management. You run the city. It is a part-time occupation. Unless you become the mayor, for that time maybe you have to give up some other things. And of course, in a mayor today, as it's constituted, unless Lok Satta Party makes a difference, mayor is anyway a ceremonial job in this country, absolutely unemployed and underemployed. So there's no work anyway. To be a legislator, as I mentioned to you already, is not really a full-time work, an honest governance. Once there is decentralized governance, a legislator is not supposed to be doing what he's doing today. So much of politics is part-time, some of it is going to be full-time. We can all find our place. Good persons in power, how do you bring them in? That is the burden of our effort. In the ultimate analysis, not good as merely nice fellows, but the people who have the integrity and character and the ability and the skill and the leadership to make a difference at every level, from a village to a sectoral management to the professionals to the top-level national management. We require the best and the brightest. And unless you have the right kind of politics, and unless you make that politics viable, it will not happen. And it's a hard task. But many societies accomplish that. And let me conclude with this, because I see my colleagues fidgeting and they're very nervous. I've said this story a few times before, and some of you might have heard it or read about it. 130 years ago, or 135 years ago, 140 years ago, a member of parliament in Britain wrote a letter to his constituents. The letter goes something like this, I'm paraphrasing that. He said, you know and I know that I bought your constituency in an auction for £5,000. He became an MP by spending £5,000 in an auction. In those days, £5,000 was a hell of a lot of money. And he then said, you do not know that I know that I am not going to be your next MP because you sold your constituency for £8,000 to somebody else. So anyway, I will not be your next MP. But what you should know is that I have already bought another constituency for £3,000. And therefore, both of us are winners. You get £3,000 more for the same MP's office that you sold, and I spent £2,000 less to buy the same MP's office in another constituency. This was a real letter. It is still preserved in British archives. Then came Gladstone, a wise leader who understood the malaise of British politics. And he rebuilt British public life brick by brick. He rebuilt institutions. He came to office in 1868. He demitted finally after 4 terms intermittently in 1892. By the time Gladstone left, the foundations of modern Britain were laid. Britain became a sane country, bringing the best leadership to the fore most of the times. Of course, accidents always happen, and George Bush does happen sometimes. But can you guarantee that a chief executive of a company, even with all the professional standards and other things that you have, always gets the best quality chief executive? That's the risk we have to take. But there is a system in place to bring integrity, character, and competence into public life. In many countries. It happens in many companies. And there's no substitute to politics. If we somehow think that there's a substitute to politics, we're mistaken, because every single day, today probably it's about 3,600 crores, every single day is spent by the Indian state from our tax money or the money borrowed on our behalf. 150 crores an hour. Every hour of the day, Sundays and holidays included. Day and night included. 150 crores. Not even the IT sector, with all its muscle, can think of that kind of money. the resources, the responsibilities and the opportunities that politics provides to reshape the country or to destroy it are immense, unmatched. And we ignore politics only at our peril. We cannot afford to do that. For heaven's sake, be engaged. Play an important role, a significant role, even a decisive role. India needs it. We owe it to ourselves. I wish you all the very best. Thank you very much. Our friends have prepared an estimate, for instance, what it takes to build serious politics, ethically. A division in Hyderabad city, there are 150 divisions in the Greater Hyderabad Corporation, maybe 160, I don't know, but probably 150, has a population of about 45,000, Srinivas? A division would have 45 to 50,000. Now, that would be roughly about 1/4 or 1/6 or so of an assembly constituency. So if you want to build a credible and strong political machine there, a strong, viable political force there, for doing the things that are required for campaigning and reaching out to people and becoming visible, including running a citizen center, the estimate is, if we monetize these things, 2.5 lakh rupees. So really, one division. Now, for the whole city, that means it comes to about 3.5 to 4 crore rupees. Then 23 assembly constituencies of Hyderabad, I can reasonably assure you it will be a potential winner or a real winner in a majority of the constituencies. But only for Lok Satta. For anybody else, that kind of money is ridiculous, because typically in the next corporation election alone, let alone the assembly election, in each division, the major parties are going to spend 1 crore apiece, a minimum. Some of them are going to spend 2 crores. So we're really talking about 1% of what they would spend for the whole city, and yet be electorally viable, because people want it. But people want to see that this is actually viable. That's all. They want to feel that, yes, I mean, there is a realistic chance. Otherwise, it's all nice, but no. Electorally, if in America people are not voting for Barack Obama until they have seen success somewhere, in India, given the complexity and our relative poverty and so on and so forth, it's even harder. So that's the kind of thing we're looking at. In the whole state, roughly the same pattern applies. About 10-15 lakhs or 20 lakhs spent in each assembly constituency over a period of 1 year, wisely and in a very, very credible fashion and in an accountable fashion, will dramatically transform the political landscape, because we already built that reservoir of goodwill, and the ideas have reached people. Now they want to see some political action, which leads to some serious traction and outcomes. And there are several ways in which all of us can contribute. Standing instruction to the banks on a sustained basis, depending on the affordability, every month deduct X amount. Contribution right away or in the next few days, by check, by whatever means. A pledge today, so that later you can redeem that whenever you feel comfortable about that. And 31st March is the right time, because you get 100% tax exemption for every contribution. A receipt, a 100% tax exemption, a tax exemption certificate with all the documents. You simply have to show the receipt, that's all, with the tax authorities. This is the law created by Lok Satta, and this is only Lok Satta applies this law. No party dares to give tax exemption to people, because they all take it absolutely unaccounted, and they spend it illegitimately. And credit cards, electronically you can transfer. The mechanism available through the website of Lok Satta Party. Then cash contributions if they are small amounts, but again, receipts will be given. And you can also facilitate, in your respective companies, creation of a team, and the company chief executives can be requested by these employees to deduct at source every month X amount on their request. If that facilitation is there, that again, the company doesn't have to do anything. It's just the employee makes that request. A support team can create in each of these companies or organizations, and whatever amount they feel comfortable with can be parted on a monthly basis or whatever. So there are many ways in which direct financial contributions can be made. And in 100 ways we can all participate and support. But right now, your time and your money, both are incredibly important. I don't want to make any bones about that. Otherwise, when these fellows are going to spend in Hyderabad city alone about 300 to 400 crore rupees, if Lok Sabha is not able to spend 3 crores, well, goodness also has a price. If you want to reach out to people, there's a price to be paid, some price to be paid. Thank you.